Yeah, exactly. Ah, Pablo, saca la foto, güey. Van a llegar los pensando entrar. Sale muy bueno. Que se entró
Ahora me meto en
So, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. I think other people will come later, but we will start because if you want to eat, it's better. So, today's the presentation of the ENEPORTS projects and also a roundtable around about decarbonization ports, because we have three ports authorities with us. So we will just start with a quick introduction of the ENEPORTS project so that you can have it in mind, and then we'll do the roundtable. Just one thing, but do not forget to say that energy that is circulating right now. And yeah, we can start. So let me introduce you. Let me introduce you, Elizabeth, who is the project manager of ENEPORTS. So you have.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for being here to talk about this exciting project that we're doing now regarding the decarbonization of port areas and also the importance of the digitalization in this process. Why this project comes up? Basically, because there are a lot of regulations that are changing, that are pushing the port areas to decarbonize. Mainly the one that asks them to provide onshore power supply to boats, to big ships. Okay, they have to provide electricity, clean electricity for big ships that shore on their area. And also, this comes at a moment where the technology is available and is reaching a point that is affordable, and there is capital available for doing this investments. So we began this project because we believe that port areas can benefit from having these clean energies installed in their areas, but also that we have determined that there is a need for digitalization in order to provide this energy with in an optimal way, an efficient way, and also maintaining security. The port areas are critical infrastructure, so cybersecurity is really relevant in this case, and for of course increasing the sustainability. We have also tech opportunities that arise from these, but for all the stakeholders that are around port areas, academic, innovation, but also generators, providers, social, civil society that is around ports, etc. So we came up with this project, which is co-financed by the Interreg Atlantic Area Program, and in which We are working with here builders in France, the University of Valbo in Ireland, the port authorities of Ferrol and Cibrao in Coruña, which is Alejandro here with me today, the port authority of Tenerife in Canary Island, which are going to be connected online, and the port authority of Leixões in Portugal. We are also connecting, will be connecting online, or that I hope so. And the idea is to demonstrate this importance of decarbonization, but also to create replicable methodologies that can be used for other port authorities for assessing impacts, benefits, and for prepare their roadmaps for decarbonization. So in the part of decarbonization, we are going to deploy some innovative renewable energies, like assessing, for example, the possibility of the Green River device that I guess a lot of you know already from builders, and assessing the feasibility of this project going into a Ferrol port area, for example. We are trying to test new hydrogen applications for feeding OPS, not only fuel cells, but maybe combustion using hydrogen, and deploy digital platforms that allow us to manage energy flows. Okay, platforms that are going to be that are using artificial intelligence and predictive algorithms for both demand and generation and the flows. So for the digitalization part, we use it for optimize the inner markets that have to be developed inside the red areas. We are going to develop also digital twins for all the generation assets and for some of the generation assets and the consumption assets that are going to be in port areas. We are going to develop decision-making tool that is going to be based on business intelligence, and we're going to study the digital twin of the power networks as well to be sure that all the protection systems are resilient enough for all these changes. Which are the benefits that we expect from port areas to be decarbonized? We expect to have better air quality, less noise, less waste of resources, and less energy consumption, less emissions, less cost, but also to increase the cooperation with the surrounding communities, to have more technological innovation in the port areas and in the academia related to it, to attract investment, to increase the local revenues, because these are going to be areas that are going to have new services, new generators, new manufacturers around. So ENEPORTS will contribute to all this by providing these methodologies and this artificial intelligence to help ports fulfill their mission. And I will appreciate really a lot if you will take this survey, because you are one of our public stakeholders as academia, as students, as research. And it's a quick survey. I mean, it may take 2-3 minutes, but just for us to detect which will be your expectations with the project, what would you like to know more about, and if we can assess this kind of expectations inside the project, or if we will need to go somewhere else to assess them. Okay. This is my presentation so far, so I will leave it in here so you can take the picture. Let's go on for the. We also have in the next one the website, but I will leave it a few minutes and then we can change for the website. Okay. So. So I give you the floor.
Yes, I just like some minutes, and it gives me some time to introduce you. So the port authorities that are with us. So we'll do a roundtable with 3 questions, including one that the common students sent us. So for the port authorities, we have with us Alejandro Rey, who is from the port authority of Ferrol in Spain. So he will speak, he will answer to the questions. And then online, so we have the port of Tenerife with Pablo?
Yeah.
Pablo?
Hi, everyone.
And we have the port of Lechoes with Felipe.
Hello, good morning.
So they will, the three will answer to the questions. And then if you have any question or remarks, well, feel free to speak. Okay? Just. No voy a hacerlo así. I just. No me deja. Okay. Okay. Oui, c'est juste un PC qui rame. Ah, voilà, ça devrait aller. Bah, je veux juste intégrer la réunion pour partager le.
Ouais.
Voilà, c'est tout. Me puedes dejar pasar en la reunión. En la reunión me puedes dejar. Ah. No. Sí. Okay. So we will start with the first question for the ports. How do you face the decarbonization strategy of your ports? So maybe we can start here with Perón, if you want to.
Parfait. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis enchanté. Je vais changer à l'anglais because I think you don't deserve my awful French, so it's better. Well, really, first, a very quick introduction. The Port Authority of Ferrol-San Cibrao is a public entity that manages two of the main ports of Spain, both in the northwest coast, in the Atlantic coast of Spain, in the region of Galicia. One of them is Ferrol, which is an historical port with a lot of different works. It's a estuary port, okay? So different locations all around the area, which is a kind of fjord, something similar that we have there. And the other one is San Cibrao. San Cibrao is a full concession port ruled by Alcoa, the aluminum company, multinational of the USA. So our strategy really for decarbonization is insert in a wider one, which is the master plan that Puertos del Estado has for all the main ports, main state ports of Spain. It's a long-term strategy up to 2050, and it has three keys. First one is reduce our carbon footprint as Port Authority. It implies basically reduce the footprint of our civil works. So circularity, use of kind of renewable materials, etc., green steel, green concrete, etc., etc. The second one, most important, is reduce the footprint of the whole port community. Okay, we're talking pilots, we're talking about tags, stevedoring companies, terminal operators, and also the inland transport. I mean, railway links, roads, etc. And the third part is that the ports may play a significant role in the goals of decarbonization of the whole society. I mean, what the government of Spain expects for us is that the ports help the society to reach the decarbonization objectives. I mean, we need to face the new logistics for new kind of new biofuels, for example, or power to X, or support activities such as the offshore electricity production. For example, in this moment, offshore wind farms are in Europe really in the mood. So, well, these are the three main points of our strategy as Port Authority facing decarbonization.
Thank you, Alejandro. Now, Pablo, from Tenerife.
Yes. And just to give some context, Port of Tenerife manage 6 ports around the west side island of the Canary Islands, ranging from the biggest port on the island of Tenerife, the main gate to the enter of goods from the outside. And we go all the way to the smallest port of the smallest island on the island of El Hierro, that only have a few cruiser ships and ferries. For us, having the ports in Iceland, we have to face a big barrier that it's the isolated grids we have for the electricity distribution. Having all of this in mind, we have set a Tenerife Port Zero project, which aim to decarbonize the Port Authority by 2030. By Port Authority, we mean our means. We have set a purchase agreement with the grid company to have all electricity on our buildings being green source. We have installed several photovoltaic self-consumption installations on our buildings, and we have put in place a LED lighting system for all the ports. Also, our fleet of vehicles are electric, and we have deployed a net of charger points around all our sites. On the other hand, we have the side of the project for the harbors as an infrastructure, not only the Port Authority, but all the actors within the port. And for this, we are deploying an OPS and cruise ship net on all of our harbors. We are promoting shared self-consumption communities. We cannot be an actor within this figure. We will talk about this later on the next question. But we are promoting that the companies based inside of the port create this kind of figure. We are promoting more photovoltaic plants. We are working on having storage projects so we can manage the energy consumption peaks. And we are also looking for alternative fuels projects to implement in our ports. So we can help decarbonize not only the activity on the land, but also the traffics we have here. And it's complex because for that you need green energy. In the grid so far on the Canary Islands only allowed a 20% penetration of renewable energies. So it's a big task.
Thank you, Pablo. And now we can pass in Portugal with Felipe.
Hello. From our point, most of what was already said, it's also within our scope. So let me just move this here. But basically, our route to neutral to be a carbon neutral port by 2035 is based on the following actions. Of course, the implementation of onshore power supply, the inclusion of renewable energy sources within our electrical grid. We are finalizing, we are almost finishing the contract for the implementation of PV in our infrastructure. We hope to get it running by mid-25. Also, we have plans for the installation of wind power generator within the port. In terms of renewals, that's the main focus. We are also looking into alternative fuels. We are planning the installation of a methanol tank within the port area for possibly bunkering methanol ships. Also, the electrification of port activities. So we are promoting the adoption of electric equipments and electric infrastructure within the port and within the concessionaries. And of course, digitalization to have all of this really under control with very precise metrics and data, including the measurement of the air quality. So we have an extensive network of air quality sensors that will be also expanded to be able to get better details on this. We are also expanding our electrical grid in order to improve its capacity for this higher demand of electrical consumption and also production. Well, basically, that's roughly it. It's more or less what the other colleagues mentioned, but I think it's what's supposed to be.
Thank you, Felipe. Now we can pass to the second question. Is there any national regulation that is acting as a barrier for the decarbonization itself? Alejandro, start.
Well, I don't know if we can speak about barriers or maybe lacks of regulation in some cases. In the case of Spain, port laws, port regulation, and electric laws don't match very well. So it's a problem in every sense. In addition, we have some problems and some barriers related with peer-to-peer markets, for example, with kind of energy communities, which are limited in surface, in distance from the point of generation of 2 kilometers. And we also have problems, important problems, I mean, in terms of grid infrastructure. It's a roughly severe or rigid regulation, and we need a big deployment, big investment in grid infrastructure, both from the part of the electric companies and from the part of the regulator and transport system company of Spain, which is a public company called Rodea. And For example, it can limit us very important projects for some of our concessionaries, as for example, a project called Triskelion, which is a green methanol plant of 80,000 tons per year, projected for a company which is called Forestal del Atlántico. You can see his webpage. And also it's a problem, for example, to get the power we need for our OPS projects. We have both OPS projected for our container terminal and also our cruise terminal, which are mandatory for 2030 for the EU regulations. So, well, we have some problems important and we have to face it. On the other hand, we could say I think we are improving. For example, we have now a new regulation in Spain related with offshore farms for the electricity generation. And for example, this regulation at least has said what we can do in the ports and what not. I mean, in the ports, we can face a project pilot or installations for self-consumption, but not, for example, commercial installations. So, well, okay, keep improving.
Yeah. Thank you. Pablo, are you here?
Sorry for that. Okay. For us for Tenerife, the main problem it's from the side of how we work as port authorities within Spain. We are managed by the national port law, and this law does not regulate the figure of the self-consumption energy communities, neither the port as manager of the electrical grid. So we have a big difficulty here. We would like to see this change, and we hope so. Puertos del Estado will take action on this soon. And also because of the problem I told before about the grid in the Canary Islands, for example, we have now a tentative project of offshore wind farm on outside of our port on Granadilla, the islands of Tenerife, 50 megawatts, but we cannot so far get the grid connection permission because of these unbalanced isolated grids we have on the islands. So there is a lot of work to do and a lot of barriers to face, but there are some projects about this. For example, the island of Tenerife, it's being connected to the island of La Gomera with a submarine cable, so it can be all a big grid. And the main path for us in the future will be, I think, to manage the peak consumptions with energy storage and to connect all the islands so we can have a more robust grid to be able to penetrate more renewables energies.
Thank you, Pablo. And then Felipe.
Yeah, well, if the question is there any national regulation that is acting as a barrier for the decarbonization itself? The clear answer is yes. The main barrier is the complex licensing processes that affect either the introduction of renewable energy. So this, depending on the capacity that you are installing, has specific licensing processes that tend to be lengthy. If you are talking about wind farms or even just a wind single generator that itself has additional requirements in terms of environmental impact, societal regulation that has to be met. So it's a really complex and lengthy process. This has to do with the electrical part, but also with the energy transition part, because even for the installation of our proposed methanol tank, that's even within PRR project, so the economy recovery projects managed by the state. Even that has severe constraints in terms of licensing process, because it's especially complex installation with security requirements. So it's really demanding in terms of the regulation that has to be met and the entities that need to be addressed and discuss these topics. So yeah, I would say that national regulation is really one of the more one of the aspects that is compromising the decarbonization itself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your answer as well. So we pass to the last question, which was proposed by the common students, which is what renewable energy technologies does the ENEPORTS project get most promising for the unique demands of ports operation?
Okay, well, I'm going to answer more like from the side of port management than from ENEPORTS exactly, but I think yes, there are two keys for decarbonization, which they are renewable energies and also electrification. For example, Spain has made a lot of work of decarbonization with its generation of energy. All the coal plants are closed except Alcudia in Balearic Island. And I think this one also working still at Asturias, but it's closes almost immediate. So this part is okay, but the rest of the electrification is not okay. I mean, we don't have electrified our transport. We don't have electrified our house heating. We don't have electrified our industry. So that's what we need. A lot of grid investments in the grid infrastructure, grid investment in the electricity management of all that, and great amounts also of electricity, of renewable electricity. So what we need basically now are mature technologies. So I think in the next probably 10 to 20 years, the mature technologies, mainly solar and aeolic wind, would be the main for that. Also, big new fuels also for some sectors, but mature technologies. On a wider scope, probably for the ports can play a significant role wave energy, but it's my opinion. And on the other hand, I see the current and the tidal energy more local. I mean, probably in some places with very specific conditions, ports with a great amplitude of tides, or in such places with good currents, it could be useful. But in general, for a deployment on worldwide, I mean, I'm not sure if these kinds of technologies are going to be, at least in a medium term, general. I don't know if my colleagues think so or not, but well.
Okay, so from the port of Tenerife, um, what we see as the future, it's a mix, because not all the ports are the same, not all the actors within the port are the same. For example, I think Ferrol has heavy industries within the port area, but for us, we don't have electricity intensive industries on our ports. It's mainly managing the people in and out of the cruise ships, ferries, and logistics from the goods that enter the islands. So our main source of carbon print, it's the ships coming in and out of our harbors. For us, the more difficult part will be the decarbonize that part with the OPS. We need a big power for the OPS system, and we have to facilitate the transition for the new source of power for the ships. So we see the future of the decarbonization as a mix of electricity sources that you can implement on the harbor depending of your configuration. For us, for example, we do not have a lot of land to implement energy sources, but also we have a really huge depth on the ocean, just 100 meters over the pier. So until the offshore wind technology becomes viable for the not for the floating wind system, we cannot deploy this kind of technologies. On the other side, for the fuel for the maritime industry, we are hoping that the industry decide which way it's gonna go, because right now it's everything changing a lot, and we cannot decide for the industry on what has to happen. We can follow the industry, so we will prepare to have all the legislation ready, and when the path will be clear, we will go with the industry.
Thank you. And Felipe, what do you think?
Yeah, we agree with what other colleagues mentioned. So yeah, the future will be a mix of several sources. Yeah, here we are exploring. We are in some trials with wave power generation. Okay, if the equipments that we are testing in the Douro behave as we expect, we will have very good installation conditions in our breakwaters. So that might be a scenario, but of course, as a mix with the remaining sources. And this is all for electrical supply. Of course, not every single equipment inside the port is electrical, so there is a need to make changes and adopt. And as the previous colleagues mentioned, that we need mature technologies, and some of these technologies are not entirely mature. There are several projects for very distinct equipments using hydrogen, using methanol, and whatever. But we are still in a very early stage where we are discussing trials, we need suppliers that can provide and equipments that are reliable and that can withstand normal working conditions. without any additional challenges. And I think that is still to be achieved. As I mentioned earlier, we are focusing on hydrogen, on methanol, because we believe on green methanol, because we believe that it's a very interesting way in terms of storage and transportation of energy, better than hydrogen. But it still has to be widely adopted by the industry. Otherwise, it would not make much sense to go any further if there is not the broader acceptance by the industry. And we believe that we need to start focusing on choosing well what should be done, and taking effective measures, and not dwelling into every one more pilot from something, because it will only delay a global adaptation of what needs to be done. And now, yeah, basically, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much for all your answers regarding these questions. Well, in the room, do you have any questions to us at the moment? Any interrogation, any remarks? Nobody?
Don't be shy.
No, is it clear for you? Do you have the answers you were expecting?
Probably not, but
You can be honest. No? Yeah,
I was wondering, because I don't know more or less the system, how many tons or kiloton, megatons of CO2 are produced in the port?
well, still don't have the scope 3 of our carbon footprint calculation. You have the first one, the second one, the third one. The first two basically are very reduced, because the activity itself of the Port Authority is not very important in the port in terms of carbon footprint of his own consumption of electricity, and because we have a 100% guarantee of electric supply by renewable energies. The key point, I could give you some examples of some parts of Spain that has calculated this footprint, is about 93-95% of the carbon footprint of a port is related with the rest of the companies that work in the port that we spoke before. I mean, terminal operators, stevedoring companies, transport companies, inland, or ships that come in and out, etc. So it's basic to focus on that. And that's why we need a lot of electrification, not only in terminals. We need new fuels to reduce the carbon footprint of the ships that arrive to our ports. Well, that's a challenge, a big challenge for all of us. And related with what was said before, my colleague of Leishoes, we also see methanol as one of the most promising future renewable energies for the fleet itself. Maybe also the biofuels, some other biofuels of second generation. We have in Ferrol also a plant of biofuel, which is ruled by an Indonesian company, which is called Masol, using mass, that makes biodiesel basically for the Spanish, German, British, and Italian markets. Also promising, used cooking oils. And of course, in the short term, it's a lot for decarbonization. We mustn't forget the natural gas. I mean, in the first 10, it will be something like the light tobacco. I mean, it's not the best solution, of course, but it reduces at 25% the carbon footprint. It's not the ideal, but in the short term, it's a reduction of 25%. So we have to focus on that, and we have to think in the future. Maybe we could have biogases in more quantity, or also synthetic gases making from renewable electricity, and we have the infrastructure, so we have to apply that. If we want to reach the targets of the European Union that are extremely good.
We have made an initial estimation at the beginning of the project, and considering the energy sources that were going to be installed in all the ports, in all the 3 ports that are under study, we're estimating a reduction in CO2 tons of 72,000. Okay, and also the possibility to produce energy this 72,000 is the equivalent as the emission of over 16,000 people. Okay, and also we were estimated that we were going to feed around 30,000 homes with that energy. Okay, with that, it was wind energy, solar energy, wave energy in the different ports here.
Yeah, I got that question for the students, if that's okay. Wonder how familiar were you with the European regulation about decarbonization, and particularly about this regulation concerning ports activities? And so is this something new for you, or you know about what our goals are as a country? Your national plans and strategies. Everything was that here is new for you, or you had any information before coming here? One.
So from my side, in general, I think it's a new topic. We understand what is it about, but at least from my case, I don't know the regulations about it. I know that this topic exists, and there are some companies and countries that are working on it, but not about the regulations of this and what these type of regulations involve exactly. I have another question, but it was related with the thing. How does ENEPORTS engage with the local communities when you have projects that may affect to the people who lives in that areas?
Tu peux répéter pour les gens qui sont en ligne, je pense qu'il y a des gens qui sont en ligne, vu qu'on est pas là, donc on fait.
Do you hear us? Those who are online? Have you heard the question?
No, sorry.
No, but anyways, maybe I can answer.
Yeah.